So if you are regrettably a user on any of the popular dating apps, just innocently looking for love and connection, a stable life partner, you might end up ending up being part of a social experiment performed by journalists at the Daily Mail. They recently released a report about political affiliations on dating apps. And how consequential is your political affiliation for the amount of matches that you can receive and then keep once you disclose that you're a Trump supporter?
Long story short, if you're a woman, doesn't really change much.
Yeah. And if you're a man, you probably were going to have less success anyways.
And yeah, like the number was already small.
And being a Trump supporter publicly on a dating app is just going to reduce your matches even further. Which is why men tend to not be forthcoming about their worldview on these apps.
Because women are judgmental. Judgy.
Not because they're judgmental, but because they are radicalized. Like, women these days are veering further and further to the extreme left.
Yeah, it's like when Tim kept saying they keep saying like Gen Z is going right. I'm like, except for all the women who are not doing that at all.
And a lot of these women who are extreme to the left are worried about the phenomenon of woke fishing, where men are pretending to be liberal in order to get laid. And this was one of the discoveries made by the journalists in this experiment. Adam Bowers said, "You guys are awesome. You've really been helpful in getting me through some rough times, but exciting news. My 2 almost 3-month-old daughter gets baptized tomorrow."
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Congrats. That's really exciting. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the big super chat. So let's show this video from the Daily Mail reporter on her undercover investigation.
She looks like first of all, this looks fake. She looks like a mannequin head. It's so smooth. She looks like a weird version of Allison Scagliotti. Here we go.
I won't tell her you said that.
MAGA girl boss on Bumble and Hinge. This is what happened. I'm Alexis Semino, reporter at Daily Mail. I sent the message, "Hi, I'm MAGA," with guys I matched with to see their reactions, and I was pretty surprised to see that the men who claimed to be liberal weren't phased at all. Unlike my colleague Will, who got little to no responses, my inbox blew up. My matches fell into the following 5 categories. 1, guys who were unapologetically MAGA and way too hyped about it. 2, men who didn't care about my political affiliation. They just wanted to go out with me. 3, the ones who had no idea what it meant. Someone asked if it was a ban. 4, those who sent me a dissertation. I could not believe how many political essays I received in response to a 4-letter acronym. 5,
just want to
the
talk.
liars. Ladies, so many men are pretending to be liberal. One guy had his profile say, "Fox News is like Coco Melon for adults." Then I messaged him and he said, "Hi, I'm Matt. I matched with roughly 80 men and only one unmatched me." I went undercover as a Matt.
So, needless to say, if an actual person opened a conversation on Hinge or Tinder or Bumble saying, "Hi, I'm MAGA," you just know they're really annoying.
Means it was literally the first thing that they think about every day. It's the last thing they think about before they go to bed. They're probably miserable without even knowing it.
Even if you voted for Trump, even if you support Trump, that's a red flag.
Yes, it is.
Okay? It just is.
It's your whole identity. It's all you think about.
Yeah, that should not be the number one thing that you're talking about on a dating app ever. But I think this kind of proves that men aren't entirely concerned with women's personalities or political views.
I love the idea that
if
these
they
guys
looked past that
I
and
love
still were willing to see her.
But I love the idea that the guys are like, I don't give a fuck what she thinks anyways. Like,
that was one of the categories. So they're calling this the MAGA mating call, where you just open the conversation with that. And they decided to try it out of curiosity, saying dating in America is a blood sport and political identity is often treated as the ultimate deal breaker by women. Do you think they didn't add that part? That's important.
The funniest part is, like, 50 years ago, it just look, I wasn't alive 50 years ago. I have no idea. But I just wonder, look, there have been political radicals forever. right? That's always existed. You know, Berkeley was radical decades and decades and decades ago, but it felt like there was a time when you thought about a politically radical person, you kind of sectored them off to maybe being in Berkeley or Northern or Southern California or something like that. And now because of the internet, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And you could find just as many, far left radical political ideologues at your local community college as you could attending Berkeley in the 60s and 70s.
Well, they tried this out on people in New York City, and the male reporter matched with roughly 10 women on Hinge, and the female reporter matched with roughly 80 men across Hinge and Bumble.
That was always going to happen.
That was just baked into the experiment from the beginning.
I do want to point out, though, that, I just don't know if people are going to buy that this guy's quote-unquote MAGA.
I wouldn't question it.
You wouldn't? Okay. All right.
I don't think of MAGA men as like being a very stereotypical look.
I guess
days.
Perhaps I would if it was the first thing they said.
If they lead with that, maybe. Yeah. Will's matches proved less enthused by his Trump message,
he looks like he's
Alexa's turned out to be a completely baffling display of versatility. So the male journalist said that on his end, women were not impressed. I sent the cold opener to around 10 women already after matching in some way. Some unmatched me immediately after I told them I was part of the MAGA movement. Other responses ranged from frustration and anger to sheer confusion. And in this one screenshot, he got a response from one woman saying, "I'm about to give you a lesson, British boy. We don't joke about that in the States," assuming this is a joke because you don't give MAGA vibes. And as a soon-to-be lawyer, I am excellent at vibe reading.
Wait, what does being a lawyer have to do with reading vibes?
This is...
Like, aren't lawyers supposed to be about twisting facts?
This person sounds equally annoying.
Yes.
Also,
like I said, I don't know if he looks more like he does CrossFit and then goes to Thistle and Thorn than
I don't think that you can these days say that MAGA has a look since it's millions of people.
The nicest thing Mary has ever said to me is that I dress politically neutral.
And then among the women who didn't immediately end our discussion, one wrote, "Okay, ? Another said, "Crazy opener." That's true. Another girl said, "Oh, great."
But the thing is,
sarcastically,
the person who said crazy opener wasn't saying it because it was political. They were saying because of that politics. If he'd come and been like, "I'm a Kamala guy," she'd have been like, "Oh, that's awesome."
Not necessarily.
I bet you she would have.
I think that it's still a turnoff to start a conversation with politics regardless, but yeah. And then for the female journalist, she sent this message to about 80 men across Hinge and Bumble, each who had already matched in some capacity. And then she just like sorted them into these categories. So first off, there were men who were already Trump supporters and were overjoyed at the idea that they matched with a female Trump supporter, almost to the point where they were like, literally just marry me now, please.
He's like, "Do you want to go see Tony Hinchcliffe together?" Like,
one of them said, "You're a dream come true." Another one said, "I need a conservative woman in my life. Thank God." And it was just like they were a little too eager. And then there were some who ignored the political statement entirely and used it to flirt with her. So one said, "Are you also coming over later too? LOL." Another one, claiming to work for the FBI, wrote, "I'm whatever you want me to be." They weren't engaging with the MAGA idea. They were yes men, thirsty and willing to nod along to anything for a shot at getting in my pants. It didn't matter if I said I was MAGA, Marjorie Taylor Greene, or Mussolini reincarnated. They just saw a woman and said yes. Unsurprising at all. Like that, I'm not surprised that all of these men are desperate.
Do you want to talk fast fascist fashion?
This was the nicest response that she got. "I'm not MAGA, but I think you're really pretty."
That was very wholesome.
Most normal guy on the list.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What would be a measured, neutral response to such a weird opener from someone that would that you could think of, other than what that guy said?
I genuinely think if you got a message on a dating app saying, "Hi, I'm MAGA," you should not respond. That's actually my opinion. There were a ton who just didn't care. One of them said, "Hi, so question mark." And then, "It's not a problem at all. I kind of like him too," but for the most part, he just ignored it. Another one said, "I don't like some of his policies, but I don't really care." Another one said, "MAGA's cool. I don't mind. They just aren't political people." And that's most people. They're just normies who don't think about this stuff.
Yep.
And then there were people who responded to her with these essays about their political views and basically like penned TED Talks in response to
overthinkers.
Yeah. One of them wrote an essay about how both sides are corrupt and then concluded that he would rather have Trump than anyone else. And people writing about like their personal feelings about politics, and another one wrote about how he was focusing on his career and his self-development instead. And then this is something that I would predict easily. All of these men who put liberal as their political affiliation on the dating profile, and then when they get a match with a woman who is proclaiming her support for Trump, they either say, "Oh, I actually voted for Trump," winky face, like it was a secret, or they're just saying that they're liberal on their profile when in reality they don't care about politics because they see it as a way to get more matches. She said this was the most revealing group. These were the guys whose profiles loudly declared liberal values or even mocked conservatives, yet had no issue cozying up to a MAGA girl. One even responded, "I support Trump too," winky face.
That's just because they're responding to the market.
Yes, exactly. Not that I think it's right. I don't think it's right to lie about your views on a dating app.
Yeah. You shouldn't do that.
But if you are sheerly looking for more matches, that's probably going to work because women are insane these days. And she says, "When I told my guy friends about this, they weren't surprised. They admitted they had done the same. One said, 'Yeah, I've told girls I'm more liberal than I am just to get laid.'" Okay, how do liberal girls not know this by now? Like, we've been knew that men were lying about being feminists, about having liberal values in order to get sex. Like,
I mean, I just don't know how much of this goes back to the age. Like, I would like to know the ages of some of these people. Because, look, there's plenty of dudes who grew up, who are my age, who are from that liberal Obama era where the media still had complete control of the narrative, who were brainwashed into believing that everything that was happening at that time was great, and they probably yearned for the good old days where they could go back to that time period. But I do wonder how many of those people have since changed and how many of them see the world as the exact same as they did, I guess, almost or over a decade ago now, and just see whatever comes out of the right as some type of awful blight on society, and how many of them have changed and just don't want to admit it.
I mean, I'm guessing most of the men that were in this experiment are in their 20s, so they didn't actually experience that time in the culture.
Then it's even more nefarious on their part. They're just reacting to what the market tells them they need to say.
And they admit it. It's just the truth. And then there were only a very, very small camp of men who responded to her negatively, but not one of them unmatched. So, I mean, if you responded, that means you're interested, period. Even the men who were openly liberal, saying, like, in response, "I support Biden, you're not funny," whatever, they were still starting a conversation and they wanted it to go somewhere. So
you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Men, more tolerant, more understanding, better people, really, than women.
But since there are so many men woke fishing on dating apps pretending to be liberal to get matches, I mean, if there are all these desperate liberal women out there looking for a match, why don't they try anti-woke fishing? Can they go on a dating app and just pretend to be conservative so that they can finally date the men they actually find attractive?
They'd probably be better at faking it, too.
And just to further prove this point, I would like to call back to this clip from the DNC last year where this Democrat girl who lives in D.C. and works in politics admits the Democrat guys are not cute. She's only attracted to the Republicans, and she doesn't know what to do.
Who are the cuties in the Democratic Party that are speaking?
Oh, I don't know. Talk to anyone who lives in D.C. It's hard to find a cute Democrat.
Oh my God, shots fired.
No, that's the tea. Ask anyone who lives in D.C. and who works in Democratic politics. It's hard to find the cute ones.
The Republican guys are hotter?
Yeah, but they're evil. So, like, I don't know.
We kind of love evil. Oh my god.
That was the joke interviewer, right? The dude who's
Yeah.
trolling them.
Yeah,
That guy was
I haven't
hilarious.
seen him much.
We need to get him on the
since
show.
then.
So we need to get him on IRL so that we can have him on our show.
He's
too.
scarily good at pretending to be gay to get women to say things like this. But it's the truth. It's the unflattering truth. I think that she should just go on a dating app and pretend to be conservative, go on dates with conservative guys, and by natural processes, she'll become conservative by dating them anyway.
I would also be interested to know, like, what is that? Like, again, I think the labels are unhelpful here because I don't think you would ever call me a conservative, and
Yeah.
I don't think they would ever call me a liberal. So what does it even mean, anyways?
I mean, they would probably think of you as like libertarian, I guess.
It's even worse.
Like by colloquial standards, yeah.
Yeah,
That's how most people would refer to you.
I'm gonna start the I don't care party.
I don't know. I just think that the best policy is going to be transparency about what you believe. I don't think that you should lie.
Yeah.
If you're okay,
It also, it shows one of two things, at least in my opinion, which is like the ones who are lying are showing a stunning lack of understanding of like what comes in the future if it
Yeah.
actually works out.
or they don't care about the future. They're just looking for hookups.
Like that's crazy. Like or what's worse is like they're not thinking about the future and they're not looking for hookups, which is like, oh, we'll figure it out when we get there. But it's important and
Yeah.
you need to know these things because these days, politics for a lot of people, it cuts to, unless you're one of these people that we were talking about earlier, which are the ones that don't really think about it, which those seem to be the happiest people that I know. They're generically liberal and they don't think about politics, and then they're married and happy and they don't really care one way or the other than maybe responding to their crazy aunt or uncle's Facebook posts. But, you know, if they're not thinking about it, then they have no understanding of how fast the future is going to come up on them and how much time and even worse is how much time you're wasting another person's life if they do care.
Well, I think two people who are apolitical are matched in that way, and that's fine. But if you're a conservative and
Yes,
you're looking to date someone who is apolitical, that probably isn't going to go well for you because you can't trust that it will stay that way. And their biases as just a default of society, like whatever values are fashionable in that day and age, are going to come head to head with your values, especially if children are involved. If you're a conservative, I don't think that you should look to date someone who's apolitical normie. You should find someone who actually matches with your values because it's gonna have consequences that aren't immediately apparent to you in the future, and you should be looking at a future. But yeah, generally, like the people who are lying about their beliefs are just scumbags who are trying to get laid and under false pretenses.
Just another reason not to be on dating apps.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.